Good morning to you all. I'm very happy to be in the United States, say for the first time. I think it's all because of Unbound. Had it not been there, maybe I'd be somewhere in Zimbabwe or in some rural areas. I want to thank Neil, Janet, and family for introducing this model of deliverance, which I use so much that I have a nickname called Unbound. Whenever my fellow diocesan priests see me, they just say, Unbound, Unbound, Unbound. Well, I joined the Charismatic Renewal in 1984. I think I was about 14 years old. And the kind of deliverance I could see was that of ministers running after people who were possessed with evil spirits, and people saying, well, I'm anointed. That's why I'm causing all these manifestations to be there. So when I was growing up, I tried to see how anointed I was. Sometimes I would pray for people, there would be no manifestation. Then I would say, so I'm not powerful, I'm not gifted. Then when I became a priest, and I was ministering to people who had different kinds of challenges, I could have struggles because some people would be possessed by evil spirits and even beat me up. A small girl of, aged 14 years old could actually hit me. I remember one experience, there was a girl who had become a Satanist, and I was asked to pray for her. Technically, I provoked the situation during Mass. I said to people, okay, since we have finished having communion, just stand up and I want to pray for you. So this girl started screaming and she came right after me and hit me and broke my spectacles. So I said, well, this is a failure. And, and then many times we could pray for people, say, start praying for them in the evening, and you pray up to 4 a.m., and then the evil spirit would laugh at you to say, you are tired, isn't it? You have failed to deal with me. And after some years, I think in about 2008, I heard that there was a couple called Lloyd and Nancy who were coming to Zimbabwe, going to the Diocese of Mutare. We thank God for that bishop who is there. He's about to retire now, Bishop Alexio Muchabaiwa. He has embraced the renewal and he has also embraced this Unbound model of deliverance. I drove, I think, for about, 200 and something kilometers to see this couple. We spent 4 to 5 days. Now, when they began to present the 5 keys, I just said, but do lay people really have knowledge? I was having this belief that only priests are the best teachers in these ministries. But I realized within a short time that I was a bit foolish. Even lay people are blessed by God. After all, we all belong to this priesthood of Christ by virtue of our baptism, common priesthood. Ministerial priesthood is mainly a service given to all those within common priesthood. So I began to accept their teaching, repentance, forgiveness, renunciation, authority, and the Father's blessing. Now, the way they presented the model of Unbound to me touched me in such a way that I began to tell the people whom I ministered to in prayer groups that I wanted people to first deal with this Unbound before doing any other thing. Now, some people were saying, especially some lay people, Father is not that powerful. We're used to noise making and the like. But now this method makes people calm. It doesn't make you popular. It makes Christ popular. This is what I like about the model. So I attended 2 to 3 workshops every year when Lloyd and Nancy came to Zimbabwe. Then I invited them to a certain parish, a politically volatile parish. Now you see, if people do not follow this Unbound model. Sometimes they go off topic, becoming political, making political statements. Now I took a risk. You know what we usually say about America and Zimbabwe? Well, these are political statements. I invited Americans to a politically volatile province. So I had to first go to the president's office to tell the, I don't know, you call them CIA. In Zimbabwe, we say CIO. I told them that we're getting 2 Americans and they were not interested in dealing with the political issues of the country. They were only interested in presenting the message of Christ and helping people to be free. So many people came. I think they can testify, or you even saw videos of their ministry. And the local, we now call him the Minister of State for Provincial Affairs. In the past, we used to call him the governor. He was also there. Many political figures were there and a lot of Catholics. So when this model of Unbound, or this Unbound was introduced to the people, they really welcomed it. So that the charismatic renewal members who used to ridicule me ended up liking the model. To this day, even though I'm no longer in that parish, the people in Mashonal and Central are the most powerful people, charismatic renewal members in the whole diocese. Now I'm in a new parish. I've spent 2 years there now. It's a purely rural parish. The people there are involved in I think, ancestral veneration. They visit witch doctors or traditional healers. Some are alleged to be involved in witchcraft. And whenever people come to talk to me, they speak of goblins. I don't know if you've heard of course, if the word is there in the vocabulary, it means there must be something in line with that. I think the devil causes people to come up with certain things. It could be like it could be a lizard. It could be like I think a rabbit. It could be a rat. Anything. It could be a bird. You hear people talking about such things which appear to be creatures. And there's a lot of fear in people. And the other thing is, the people in Zimbabwe, especially in the rural communities, tend to have clashes over land issues, or somebody having impregnated their child, and the issue of avenging spirits, whereby some people say our relative was killed during such a time many years ago, and now the spirit wants to be appeased. And the technique of appeasing such avenging spirits is getting a girl, and then you give the girl to the family, the bereaved family or the angered family. It's actually abuse, really, because the girl does not have any choice. The girl is just sent there. Even if she refused to go there, the people could use some charms so that within the spiritual world, this alleged avenging spirit can make the girl a wife. And if the girl continues to say, I want another man to marry me, when the people are in bed, the spirit, or this evil spirit, which comes in the name of the avenging spirit, can actually speak to the husband to say, leave my wife, or push the man from the bed. The man will find himself on the ground. Now, with the model of Unbound, I realized that a lot of issues are based on unforgiveness. And when you present this model to people, when they take it seriously, they end up saying, when I forgave, I no longer had these problems. And the other key, which is very important, is that of renunciation. That people have to freely renounce their deeds. They end up bringing their clothes or the things they use for, I think, like chasing away evil spirits. For instance, one testimony which I can give is of a Catholic, a very devout Catholic, who happened to be like a traditional healer. A husband was not involved in that, but she was involved in that area. She could bring some snuff to church just before Mass, share with her friends, and then the priest, without knowing all that, could simply get into the church, celebrate Mass. After Mass, the lady could share some more snuff with the people and get that and go away. So she happened to fall ill. And then she came to me to say, Father, I am sick. I know I'm a traditional healer, but I'm sick. I want to be healed. Now, I usually don't rush into this ministry of healing. I want a person to tell a story, and this is all because of Unbound. In the past, I could just say, okay, come, I pray for you, but afterwards I would become sick myself. So the thing is, I listen to the story, and then I say to a person, you begin to pray for yourself. We have an operation, pray for yourself. Not just for you to be there and people be busy praying for you without you giving up whatever you are doing. So she spoke to me, and she brought whatever she had for this healing, traditional healing. I said, okay, come to the chapel. I like this idea of having the Blessed Sacrament in the chapel. I'm actually trying to introduce the idea of chapels for adoration. But in Zimbabwe, we have to be very careful because there have been many abuses regarding the use of the Eucharist. So what I do is I just expose the Blessed Sacrament. I lead the person through Unbound, and then we see what the Lord does. So the lady came in. I said, look, I will not burn your clothes and the like. What I'll do is I'll sprinkle holy water on your things, your sticks and other charms and the like, and then we go together, because they've renounced the evil one. We go together to a certain pit. I give you a matchstick or a lighter. You light the thing. I also keep some diesel. It's easier to use diesel than petrol. So I will say, okay, you put some diesel there as well to show that you really don't want your things. Okay, so she did that, and she bent everything. So she was limping, and we went back to the chapel. We prayed with her. The next day, I could hardly recognize her. She said, Father, it's me. I am the one who was unable to walk. She is still walking. It's now over a year now since we prayed with her. There are many testimonies. I think one testimony which I think Lloyd and Nancy took on video is about a couple. One was the provincial administrator working for the governor. That's the husband. The wife is from, I think, Lesotho. They were having these cases. Fire could burn maybe their projects, their houses, even it could burn their fowl runs. The husband was always involved in car accidents. So she attended this program, I think last year of Unbound, when Lloyd and Nancy came. She invited her husband. It's not very easy to bring husbands to such programs in Zimbabwe, because the husband says this is the business of women. So they approached me, and I tried to run away from the program, because when dealing with political figures, you never know whether they are serious, or whether they mean business, or they just want to get information from you. But the other Catholics in his parish came and said, look, this man is in trouble. Now, in my mind, I said, if I fail to deal with these cases, they may come to me. And I said, well, since I have already repented, forgiven, renounced Satan, and I am standing in authority in the name of Jesus, and I am free as a child of God, let me try to deal with them. Lloyd and Nancy helped them, and then continued to help them. They no longer experience these fires. And as a blessing from God, the husband ran to become a member of parliament. He won. Now he's the deputy minister in one of the ministries. The wife is free, and many people are now happy with Unbound. And what about the future of Unbound? My coming here, I think, has given me some green light to go back to my bishop to say, Your Grace, this model of Unbound, we don't usually like to compare, but sometimes it's good to compare, is the best model so far. The first model we have of deliverance caused a priest to be suspended because he disobeyed the bishop. Up to this day, is running a charismatic renewal group on his own. And many people are leaving his prayer group, forming new churches. So it was a failure. The second method of Unbound, whereby people were, after this, head-on collisions with the evil one, caused more than 9 priests to be suspended because they ended up calling themselves Super Roma, meaning that they were better Catholics than the mainline Catholics. So those were suspended, and they now have a program which is interdenominational, but it excludes controversial aspects within our doctrine, which means they end up not saying the rosary. Like today, remember there is Mass, and even though you wrote optional, but you didn't exclude the Eucharist. Then the third model, which is Unbound, is very good. It's applicable to everyone. It makes one humble. You see, when you look at the founders of the model, all of them, the father, the wife, the son, the daughter, all of them are very humble. You hardly notice them. You see, I was even looking for you, Matt, looking for everyone. They are very humble. And whoever follows this model naturally becomes humble because it's Christ who is working through us. It's Christ who is working through different people. And so I will go to the bishop and ask him to allow me to go and introduce the model to everyone. Thank you very much.